Alright, so we're ready to start putting things back together. Hopefully I remember how to do this. This is why we took videos. I'm going to start by cleaning out the cylinders. There isn't much to do there. I'm just going to do like some WD-40, which is what's in there right now. Kind of wipe it around a little bit, let that evaporate, and then maybe take a little bit of oil on a rag and just get what's left out there. Not worried about any oil being left over in the cylinders. That's kind of just the way it's supposed to be anyways. See, these are pretty dirty. I'm just going to try to get the dirt out of them. So we're going to start with that. And then I'll also scrub the surface of where the head and where the gasket goes with a wire brush as well to try to get all that junk off too. So, cylinders cleaned out. That's the new head gasket. It's a Pro multi-layer. Looks pretty heavy duty, so hopefully that holds for the remainder of the car's lifespan. Here's the cleaned head. This is the driver's side. We know because it has the what is that? EGR. So we're gonna go ahead. This is all cleaned up, ready to go on, and we're gonna try to reinstall this head. Alright, so here's the new head installed. Looks nice and clean. The surface of this head was polished, absolutely smooth. It looked great. So now those head bolts are all torqued to spec. The spec is weird. You have to tighten, then tighten again, then loosen, then tighten. Got that all on. So now we'll put the valve cover back on here. So this head now has the valve cover back reinstalled. All these bolts are in, all 6 of them. Now we're going to go ahead and just reinstall the head on the other side. So we're installing the head on the other side. This is what the multi-layer gasket looks like. Now be careful with the part on top. That little metal post you see sticking out, it has 2 diameters to it, and the gasket can get caught on it. So make sure the gasket's pushed flush to the engine block side, so the right side here, before you go ahead and tighten on the head. Otherwise things will just get caught and it'll be a little bit of a mess. But we're going to go ahead, finish tightening these head bolts on, torque them to spec, and then throw the valve cover on this side too. Alright, this head's all nice and torqued on. I got these timing belt gears back aligned to those vertical positions where they were at. So now we can go ahead and I'm supposed to put this valve cover on next. I broke the gasket, so I'm going to wait until I get a new one, so we'll hold off on that. But in the meantime, we can put the timing belt back in place. So I'm going to have to look at how it was woven through here and tighten this piece back up and then crank this back on. No, maybe that later. We'll put the timing belt on next. So here is the timing belt reinstalled. Now we can go ahead and put the cover back over it. Here's the timing belt cover back on. We also have this back on over that that bolt that was there. So at this point we're ready to reinstall the intake, the headers. So we're going to take this process slowly because there was a lot of things plugged in everywhere, electrical and hoses alike. So we're just going to have to, I'm going to have to rewatch the videos we made and make sure we do this all right. But that's what we're going to do next, while we wait for the appropriate valve cover gasket. Alright, so we have both of the new valve covers installed. I did forget to put the black rings on the ends of there, so I had to take this valve cover off, put those back on. I broke the gasket on this side, so we got this new fancy blue one. This one's all set. We broke off a valve cover bolt. I bought a new one for one we had rounded off. So this is a self-tapping screw, and hopefully it works. I'm just kind of I'm sick of working on this thing, so fuck it, we did that. So next we're going to go ahead, we have new gaskets for the intake manifold. We're going to go ahead and try to throw this thing back on. Alright, so the headers are reinstalled. We got all the plugs, electrical and hoses back reinstalled. There's a few hoses and plugs back there, can't forget. And we got new gaskets on there. They're blue, they look nice. So now we can go ahead and we'll reinstall the power steering, alternator, and air conditioning, and finish plugging the stuff in from there. So I just dropped, these two are still attached, this bolt goes between them, the alternator and the air conditioning back in. There's just some bolts around the sides of them. There's 4 on the air conditioning, and then this thing just stays attached to here. We have some of the plugs back in place, like that one, these. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this little doohickey back on here. It kind of went on backwards like that. And then we'll throw the, I think that's a power steering pump back on, and we'll try to just make everything match up from there. So we got the power steering pump back on. These two things are reattached here. Got the belts in place. That was kind of intuitive. You use, here I'll show you, these big longer bolts to tighten and loosen the belts once you have them on. From here I'm going to make sure everything is plugged in, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the guards on here, put those back on, and then we can go ahead and look at reinstalling the, what else was there? There's the radiator and then the air intake. So now the radiator's reinstalled, hopefully the same way we took it out. We got the coolant reservoir back in there. That's full, still from last time, same old coolant. So now we're going to go ahead and put the air intake back in. So everything is back reinstalled. We got all the air filters. We got our power steering, alternator, air conditioning all tightened up. I was missing this hose here. It was buried underneath. Double checked. I'm pretty sure everything's plugged in where it's supposed to be. The exhaust manifold underneath has been reinstalled. So now we're go ahead, add some oil, because we drained that, and throw the battery back in, and we'll see how this thing starts. So we finally got this thing running. All is well. It's kind of loud, but hopefully you can still hear me. So this, we ended up just JB welding that thing back in. Everything else is running great on this thing. The belts are making a little bit of noise, slowly less and less noise. I think they just kind of got dirty and I didn't clean things out well. I thought they might have been over tightened at first, but they checked and they seemed fine. It needed a lot of coolant. We were pretty much completely out of coolant. And it's smoking a little. I think it's just burning up some of the stuff we had left in there. Also, it was leaking coolant. Actually, probably what that is it was leaking coolant from where we put that new clamp on. That new clamp pretty much locked it down really tight though, so no more coolant leaking there. I think a lot of coolant dripped out, and that's kind of what's burning off right now. Not really too concerned. The engine light is on, however that was a guarantee with the O2 sensors anyway, so we'll have to go ahead and look at that. Other than that, it is up and running.